Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo.
On this episode of the History of the Chorus podcast with Curtis and Josh, we finish our look at the legendary band from Newark, New Jersey, known as My Chemical Romance. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. Make sure to check us out on TikTok and give us a follow at IsSurvivedByProductions. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta, army surrounded.
I've got a bulletproof heart. You've got a hollow point smile. Me and your runaway scars got a photographed dream on the getaway mile. Let's blow a hole in this town and do our talking with the laser beams. Gunning out of this place in a bullet's embrace. Then we'll do it again.
Welcome back to the History of the Cores podcast, sponsored by the Church of the Seven Track, where each and every episode we take a look at the history of a band from the core genre. I'm Curtis. With me, as always, is that cool cat, my co-host, Josh. What up, Josh?
What's up?
Finger snap, finger snap, finger
Laser,
snap.
laser beams.
Laser beam, laser beam, laser beam. What's that? That's from something, isn't it? Laser beam, laser beam, laser beam.
I have no
Maybe
idea.
not. I don't know. Actually, that sounds like something Eric Andre would say. Laser beam, laser beam, laser beam.
Laser beam.
Oh, man. Josh, can you believe that this is our 50th episode of the History of the Chorus podcast? Oh, he's getting emotional.
Again, it feels like more.
Yeah, I know.
It's like many more.
Yeah. Well,
The big 50. We're turning 50 today.
We're turning 50. We're getting old. We feel old. Yeah. Alrighty, Josh, let's not waste any time. We got a lot. We got a lot to go here. I've got 11 pages worth of notes.
11 pages?
This is probably the most I've ever had. Now, a lot of it's just like in
Holy
between
shit.
stuff. Yeah.
Did
And it won't
how
take
many
long, but-
how many pages of notes did you have for episode 1?
Probably about, I don't know. I don't have it on me. I would guess like 7 or 8, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe less than that. Maybe 6. Ooh, 6, 7. Yeah.
11 pages. There's 11 pages to
11
talk about
pages.
from the Black Parade and Danger Days.
I'll say 10. Actually, there's 10. Let's say 9.5, actually. But like I said, most of it is like in between stuff. So
Are we taking 3 to 4 minutes just to watch the Desolation Row music video? Is that part of
No.
your notes?
no. But I did watch it.
Dang it.
But I did watch it. We'll talk
It's
about it.
it's their best music video.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Best music video? You
I think
so?
it might be, dude.
Okay.
It's just so
okay,
much fun. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like you never
Uh,
really see
okay.
them
Okay.
getting
Okay.
down like that in any of their music videos.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay. Josh, what'd you listen to this week, buddy?
Absolutely nothing, dude.
You're looking at it. You're looking at it.
Yeah, I tried to catch up on a couple podcasts. I unwillingly listened to Dying Wish a few times because for some reason now my Spotify thinks that that's all I want to listen to. So anytime my phone connects to something or an album gets done, it's playing Dying Wish. We've moved past the era where my Spotify thinks that I only want to listen to Pneumonia Hawk. And we've moved on to Dying Wish now, apparently.
Yeah. Shall we take a moment of remembrance for Pneumonia Hawk? Okay, that's good.
I'll still be putting in a fair amount of time on Pneumonia Hawk, I'm sure.
Oh boy. That's a good classic one though, man.
It's a fantastic
Classic.
song.
Well, it's just gonna be what's gonna happen now is you're gonna listen to Dying Wish albums, and at the end of those albums, it's gonna be like, hey buddy, Pneumonia Hawk.
You wanna come back?
You wanna come back, buddy? Come here. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I got a question for you, Josh. That has to do with the album that I listened to that I'm about to show. I want to see if we're on the same page here. What in your which album in your opinion is the most or not most, but least talked about Zayo album?
Least talked about?
Yeah.
It'd be some of the early ones, I'm sure.
You think early one? Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay. You know what I consider
I
Zayo,
mean,
though.
then
You know what I consider Zayo. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm talking from Fire and Blood Bring Rest to now, Crimson Corridor. What would you say?
least talked about,
Yeah.
maybe Crimson Corridor.
Oh my goodness, this did
I
not
mean,
go
dude,
out.
honestly, I don't know anybody who listens to Zayo anymore anyway, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I went back for a little Zayo seconds, and I went with one that was a little bit off the beaten path that I felt like, at least when we talked about it, it wasn't like a big deal. I mean, obviously you have your high points of, Fire and Blood, even Liberate, and Funeral, and Fear, and I guess now like Well-Intentioned Virus and such. But I went back and I listened to Awake.
Romance of
And
the Southern Spirit.
oh man, I'm really glad I went back and listened to it because I forgot how many good tracks
Yeah,
were
that's a
on there
good
from
album,
my
dude.
original
That's a
listen.
good
Man.
album.
Just from like the beginning with 1 million outstretched arms, to even the next one in Tropica, Eyes Behind the Throne, Human Cattle Masses Marching Forward, Romance of the Southern Spirit, even to the very end of like the finisher, Quiet Passenger Part 2 and The World Caved In. I mean, just such a good album overall. And I feel like just overall, forget like you said, you don't know many people that listen to him anymore, but just like in general of Zayo's history, I feel like, and again, besides the ones that are before what's his name being the vocalist,
Dan.
yeah. Well, all I have in my head was Scott. I don't know why, but yeah, Dan.
Come on, Scott.
Yeah,
You know you wanna.
those
Come
don't
on,
count.
Scott.
But I feel like
want to.
in the Dan era, that Awake is like their least talked about album, and I think one of the big reasons for that is it dropped and then they went on hiatus. I mean, pretty quickly after,
Yeah.
I mean, they were at the end of their Ferret Records run, but anyway, yeah, really good throwback. I was really really pleased with myself to go back and listen to 2009's Awake. Good job, Curtis. Good job.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That was one that I hit like immediately after we did those episodes. I was like, I need to throw this one on a few times through because, yeah, I remember when we went through it originally and kind of having that same feeling. I was like, man, I forgot how many good songs are on this one.
Right.
But
yeah,
I really thought you were gonna say Crimson Corridor again, just because we loved that album so much.
It's a
but
good one. Yeah, that's a
also
good one, too.
because it really, I think, flew under the radar, like coming out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I probably
think a
should
lot
have
of
excluded
people-
that one though, because it's still pretty new, technically, I guess. But
My favorite comment, I will never forget this, was me asking somebody if they listened to the new He Is Legend album. That was when Few came out,
oh no.
and them only replying, "You still listen to He Is Legend?" Yeah. Yeah, I do, because they're still putting out good music. You don't just have to completely change your musical taste once you reach a certain age. If that's your musical taste, then that's your musical taste. I don't know why we feel like you have to move on to some what you think is more profound music, but
That was weird the way you kind of got quiet and you kind of like got really serious there for a second.
yeah, it's
I was like,
okay.
what's happening?
It's okay. I don't know who hurt you,
Right.
but you don't have to. You don't have to feel that way.
You don't have to live this way, man. You don't have to live this way. So anyway, yeah. Awake, 2009. Zayo. Dan. Check it out. Alrighty, Josh. Let's finish this thing. It's been a good run. Episode 1 was good about My Chemical Romance. What is in store for episode 2, the finale of My Chemical Romance? Ooh, next time on HOTC Podcast. No.
There's got to be like 3 pages worth of hiatus there.
I don't know if there's 3 pages. It's a good question, though. I don't know. We'll get there. We're going to get there. Patience, young Padawan. Patience. All right, let's finish up our look at the band known as My Chemical Romance. Taking full advantage, Josh. Full-fledged advantage of the fame and hype their first 2 albums brought to them. That's I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, and 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. The band would begin to write a new chapter in their discography. When I wrote that, all I could think of was, because of how good their first 2 albums were, all I could think of was the Davey Havok quote of after December Underground and getting ready for Crash Love, where he said, "This will be the album we're remembered for." And I almost kind of felt like, okay, here we go, Black Parade. What's going to happen? Is this going to be a Crash Love? Is it going to fall on its face, or is it gonna continue up that progression? Anyway, 2006's The Black Parade from Arise Records, produced by Rob Cavallo, who was one of the biggest selling producers in the history of music, being involved with albums that have combined to sell over 130 million units worldwide. Some of those bands that he's worked with include Green Day, Linkin Park, Eric Clapton, Shinedown, Paramore, Meatloaf, Dave Matthews Band, among others. Oh boy. This is the only album for Bob Breyer on drums. The Black Parade debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and UK album charts. Certified triple platinum in both the US and the UK, while also certified gold in both Argentina and Chile, and platinum in Europe. In 2020, Rolling Stone would rank the album number 361 in their 500 greatest albums of all time list. Too high? Too low, Josh? Or just right?
That's it's complicated. It's broad.
It's complicated, man.
500 best albums of all time, and they landed at like 361, you said?
Yeah, number 361. I didn't get to look at it, but come on. What do you want, though? I mean,
I was about to say,
of all time.
I'd like to see
Anyway.
some of the others. I want to know what was their number 1 album of all time.
U2's, Josh, I don't know.
Probably, dude.
But I would guess. Josh, did you know that the working title of this album was called The Rise and Fall of My Chemical Romance?
No.
It's actually an ode to the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars from David Bowie. This album is classified as a rock album that follows the death, afterlife, and reflections of a character known as the Patient. Gerard Wade described death appearing to a person in the form of their fondest memory. In the case of this story, seeing a marching band as a child. Committing themselves to the concept of the album, the band would develop their alter ego known as the Black Parade, performing on tour in support of the album, dressed in the marching band attire, much like that of the Beatles from the Sgt. Pepper album, only in emo style. Black uniforms, yeah. I always like the fact that he dyed his hair blonde. There's something
Yeah.
about his blonde hair with those uniforms always kind of stood out. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if he did that on purpose though, because everybody else had like, well, besides Bob, his hair was blonde too, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh,
I don't know. I think it's an interesting concept that, like we talked about before, that they're kind of like playing the characters from each story, like for each album. So in the first one, like he's got that look of like very dark makeup, very pale, jet black hair. And then in the Black Parade era, he's got the blonde hair. And then in Danger Days, it's the red. Like he does like the red, long hair. So
right.
yeah, it's all very, I feel like he really sticks to,
But nothing crazy. That's the other thing we talked about was like they're in character, but they're not like in character, not like a method actor or anything like that.
no, yeah, they're
You know,
just,
but
they're just having
they
fun
just
with
dress
it.
the part. Yeah.
Yeah.
The band has cited Queen and Pink Floyd for their live theatrics during this time period, citing such albums as The Wall and A Night at the Opera, and even, like I said earlier, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and The Spiders from Mars from David Bowie. During filming the music video for Famous Last Words, both Gerard Wade and Bob Breyer suffered injuries as Wade tore ligaments in his ankle and Breyer suffered third-degree burns on his hands and legs. Oof, that sucks. David Frick from Rolling Stone wrote in his review of the album, My Chemical Romance may be the oldest young band in America. None of the members, singer Gerard Wade, his brother and bassist Mikey, drummer Bob Breyer, and guitarist Ray Toro and Frank Iero, is old enough to have bought David Bowie's Diamond Dogs on the day it came out. But the Black Parade, New Jersey group's third studio album, is the best mid-70s record of 2006. A rabid, ingenious paraphrasing of echoes and kitsch from rock's golden age of bombast. The opening fanfare at the end blows up like an outtake from Alice Cooper's Billion Dollar Babies, with glam Godzilla guitars and spook choir hurrahs. Dead is a sleek, bleak bruiser like Queen's Keep Yourself Alive in Widow's Weeds. And in the operatic, there we go, woof, Mama, Gerard Way, playing a soldier up to his neck in blood, raging against the woman who gave him life, briefly duets with Liza Minnelli, who belts her two big lines only to have Way sing back at her with vicious obscenity. It is brassy casting as if Minnelli has been dropped into a Glenn Danzig production of Bertolt Brecht's Mother Courage and Her Children. It also sounds like an idea Alice Cooper, the singer, might have had in 1976 while golfing with George Burns. After a brief history of the band's beginnings, Frick finishes his review by saying, quote, there is a lot of fire and rebel in these songs too, and there are bodies all over the place. Dead in the streets. Welcome to the Black Parade. Near death in hospital beds, dead and cancer, or just too numb to give a care about morality. House of Wolves, or forgiveness. I don't love you. Starting with a riff that stabs and stutters like an old Buzzcocks lick, and packing a bridge that is pure from Iron Maiden. This Is How I Disappear is an exciting, perverse goodbye from one lost soul to the object of his suffocating affection. And without you is how I disappear and live my life alone forever now. Way sings from the depths of his obsession, and it seems his grave. The poetry is rickety, but the self-pity is arena ready. Songs on the Black Parade include The End, Dead, This Is How I Disappear, The Sharpest Lives, Welcome to the Black Parade, I Don't Love You, House of Wolves, Cancer, Mama featuring Liza Minnelli, Sleep, Teenagers, Disenchanted, Famous Last Words, and the hidden track Blood, along with some bonus tracks, Josh. My Way Home is Through You, Kill All Your Friends, and Heaven Help Us. What was your, do you remember the first time you ever listened to Black Parade? Did you listen to it when it came out?
Yeah. I don't remember like necessarily the first time, but it was it would have been in 2006 when it came out.
Okay.
I don't think I don't know, especially at that time, like I was all in on them.
Right.
So I remember this album coming out and being really into it.
Okay.
It's different from Three Cheers, but none of their stuff ever feels like
Off the map.
yeah, like we talk a lot about how at a certain point you almost feel like a band should just change their name because they've gone so far off the rails and you don't even know who it is anymore.
Right.
But we also talked about last time how Gerard's vocals are so iconic. You know, you probably could throw one or two other guys in here and most people wouldn't really know. But
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
let's talk headcanon for a second. So, you're talking about the theory that the first two albums are tied together, that at the end of the first one, the woman dies and the guy has to bring her back to life by selling his own soul and also bringing there's like 1,000 soul or the souls of 1,000 evil men or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And so he presumably dies too at the end of that. The last track is I Never Told You What I Do for a Living.
Right.
Presumably he is like forsaken his soul. He is dead also, like to save her. Do we also presume that the patient in the beginning of Black Parade is this guy dying?
I mean, I never really thought of it that way, but that's interesting.
I mean, that was something I just kind of thought about a little bit. I usually just kind of looked at this. I've always looked at each album as a standalone.
Right. Yeah.
Each one of them is telling a different story. But when you brought that up about the theory, but the first two being tied together, made me think of this one, how Three Cheers ends and the end is the first song on
Okay.
Black Parade.
Yeah.
He dies and then he has this like look back at his life, over the course of the album.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Teenagers really feels like a one-off.
Teenagers is that anthem song to me. It's kind of like I equivalent it to what I'm Not Okay is on Three Cheers. It's
Yeah.
kind of a one-off. Now, I don't hate either one of them, but I would skip Teenagers on this one. I actually did this time through. I've heard it way too many times.
I didn't, and this time I actually was more like okay with it than I normally
Okay.
am.
Okay.
And it was just because like, yeah, if it's like written from his point of view, he's been a grown man the entire time like the band has been together.
Yeah.
And that's his point of view, like all the things that he's saying, like he can't
Right.
escape that. He's a teen icon, so maybe they'll leave you guys alone, but they're not gonna leave me alone.
You're not gonna leave me
You know?
alone, man.
So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a funny track that's just like, oh, okay, yeah, like, oh shit, that sucks.
But you're right though. It's like it's kind of a one. It just feels like a one-off.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel connected to the story. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I like the comparison of I'm Not Okay. I felt like that was solid.
yeah. I don't know. I always just felt this was just kind of a standalone story, but that's interesting that you say that.
Just just
So,
headcanon.
Yeah. Yeah. Get
But
out of
yeah,
my head.
we talked about I told you how at the end of this album, at the end of Blood, if you go straight from Blood into Look Alive Sunshine, it's a pretty seamless transition. Like there's that last note that kind of rings out at the end of Blood, and then it goes straight into like kind of the static and chirp
Right,
of
kind of
the
build up,
radio,
yeah. Right.
and it also starts, after the album's told, the guy's dying at the beginning, he's seeing his whole life and everything. And then at the end of that,
Look
for the next one to
alive.
start with, Look Alive, Sunshine. So I don't know, it's just kind of
It's my
interesting
next life.
whenever those things get paired up together. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, also we talked about too how Danger Days is kind of its own thing.
Right.
They created a little story to
I
kind
was
of
about to say,
go
fit that one
with what they
into
were writing, and that'd be tough.
Yeah.
That would have to be like, maybe just like his weird afterlife, or maybe that's like what he's seeing when he dies or something. And that would kind of link up a little bit too, because that was the life he lived, like the
Right.
gunslinger
Right.
life. So I don't know, that's kind of an interesting thought too, for that to be like his afterlife is just, it never ends for him,
Right. Josh, you've talked about it before. We don't need any more Cancer songs, right?
We really don't.
We really, really don't, man.
Yeah, that's
Really,
tough.
really
It,
don't.
it plays well into this one, because if it's not, if it's not
If it's
our
just a
headcanon
standalone,
idea of
yeah.
this,
Right.
then it plays into it pretty well, because the patient, we don't know why he died. We don't know why what illness he had or anything. They do make him look like crazy sick though in the music video.
Right, yeah.
So Cancer, the song, like kind of makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
If we take, what we kind of put together on our own here out of the equation.
Yeah. I just immediately thought of you when I was listening to this album again. It came to that. I was like, oh, there's Josh. We don't need another one. Please, no more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a drop. And then to go from Cancer to Mama, which is
Right. And then
also
I was
like
like,
not
oh,
not the cheeriest of songs.
nah, nah. Any low points for you on this album, Josh?
Not really. I mean, just kind of when we talked about, Teenager is kind of a one-off. Sometime I'd like to listen to Sleep and Disenchanted back to back and just kind of see.
It's good. Trust me, it's good.
Okay.
Because remember, I skipped Teenagers this time through. So
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, it was good.
There's good music videos for this one. They have music videos for Welcome to the Black Parade, Famous Last Words, I Don't Love You. Is there one for The End or Dead? I can't remember.
I don't think so. There is one for Blood. I mean, it's very generic and nothing crazy.
Okay.
It's just like them in like a school locker room or something. Yeah, it's just
I thought that
nothing
was
crazy.
Teenager. Oh,
No.
no. Okay. Yeah, I
Teenagers
remember
is
what you're
kind of
talking about.
like Desolation Row, where it's like they're playing in front of a big crowd and it gets really crazy
Yeah, that's
because
right.
the teenagers take over because they're scaring the hell out of me. Yeah,
Yeah, I forgot. That's a weird one where they're just in that locker room.
yeah. They're just kind of like standing around.
And
All right.
it's weird too, because the whole album, he has blonde hair, and then at
He
the
doesn't.
end,
Well, yeah, but he doesn't have blonde hair in the "I Don't Love You" music video or Teenagers.
oh,
Yeah, he only has the blonde hair for Black Parade and Famous Last Words,
okay,
which they filmed those two, I think, at the very beginning, and then all the other ones they filmed later on.
okay.
So, is it weird? Is it just me, or is it weird the way that they placed like Blood is technically a hidden track, and I was trying to figure out like why it wasn't, if it's a hidden track, why is it not just at the end of Famous Last Words? And you know what I
Um,
mean? Is it because Famous Last Words is a single? which
Wait,
I mean, at that point,
what
it's
was
just
the
like
question
just
again?
so. Blood is technically a hidden track.
Yeah. Like at the end of the CD, it's not separated. It's just like after.
Well, but that's why I'm like, is if you have the physical copy of the CD, is it actually still on the same track as Famous Last Words? Because
I
on
thought it
on like
was,
Spotify
but
and everything else, it's a separate track, and you have to wait. Like on Spotify, you have to wait till like the 1 minute and 20 some odd mark before it starts.
yeah.
Which I'm like, why did you do that? That's weird. Because I know there's other songs on like Spotify that don't do that. They're like hidden tracks. So I didn't
Hmm.
know if it had to do something to do with the fact that Famous Last Words was a big single, and so they like the record company decided to split it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just really kind of weird the way they have it set up, at least on Spotify and such. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. Anything else on Black Parade, Josh?
Not necessarily, but what are your favorite tracks on here?
I really like Dead. I mentioned it on the last episode. Shoot, what was it? The song off of I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love that I made reference that it's almost like the same kind of like beat. Um, it's the one that goes, well, let's go back to the middle of the day that starts it off
Yeah,
on
Head
Bullets.
First for Halos.
There you go. Yeah, Head First for Halos. I always want to say it's Turnstiles, but anyway, yeah, that one and Dead always kind of make me think of the same because it's kind of got that same kind of poppy kind of beat to it. But anyway, I like that one. Of course, Black Parade, I like that too. I Don't Love You, Dude. I forgot was man, that's such a really good song. And I haven't heard it in like years. And so listening to it this time around, it's like stuck in my head. I can't get it out. But
Black
yeah, that
Parade.
was no, I Don't Love You.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's just a really good one. It's kind of like it's strange because it's almost like it's a ballad and it's kind of like off the beaten path of like what My Chemical Romance has done up to this point,
Yeah.
But it's really good. They make it work. Um, I do like Mama. I'm not really a fan of the Liza Minnelli part, but other than that, I like the story of it and everything like that because we're both into the like the war history of war and everything like that, World War II, World War One, and such. And then yeah, Sleep and dude, Famous Last Words has got to be like one of the best tracks. I mean, I know Blood technically is the hidden track and it's the finale, but Famous Last Words has to be like one of the best tracks to ever end an album, in my opinion. I just feel like they wrap it up with a nice bow with Famous Last Words.
Oh yeah, they nail the last track. We talk about all the time how sometimes that totally ruins my perception of an album
Right.
when they end on such a low note.
Right.
But
And
this covers it all perfectly. It wraps up their story. They came up with like a really good music video to do for it
Right.
that also fits the story. Checks all my boxes in that department too, because it's all the band,
it's only the band, actually, I think. Yeah. Yeah. The way it should be.
That's how it should be.
Yep, that's a music video.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it does. It finishes really strong. The whole song just like feels like it builds and builds to each chorus.
Right. Yep. And that's tough for me to like say because I really, really like I Never Told You What I Did for a Living to finish Three Cheers. That's a really good finisher too.
Oh
But
yeah.
I don't know. I think Famous Last Words tops that one just barely, just barely. But what about you?
Yeah, I mean it's a great wrap up to the album. Oh, you wait, do you mean
I
one of my
mean,
favorite tracks on here?
yeah.
Before I say that,
I wasn't listening earlier. Do you like this last track or not?
who got injured in this video?
Bob and Gerard.
Okay. I remember that was a thing, but I couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah, it said Gerard injured ligaments in his ankle and Bob suffered burns.
Was it from when they crashed the stage or
I don't know.
yeah, I don't remember.
I was thinking maybe like he's jumping off of it or something because I think he jumps off at one point, like lands in the sand,
Okay.
which is not a steady landing. So,
No.
so I'm sure you could easily do some damage there. But
Um, this is a play all the way through for me. I think my favorite tracks on here, The End has always been really high for me, The End and Dead.
it's a good combo start.
House of Wolves, Black Parade. Yeah, I mean it's hard. Yeah, this is all the way through. So it's really
Just gonna start
only
naming everything.
yeah, it's just Danger Days. There's like a couple towards the end that are I don't know, they're just not the same tier.
Yeah, I feel like Danger Days they start out strong, but it starts to lose me towards the end.
I mean, there's definitely a couple places it comes back, like in Danger Days. Like Destroy is pretty late on the album, but that's
Right,
one of the
yeah.
best on the
Yeah.
album. Yeah, Destroy is 3 from the end, so yeah, and Vampire Money, which is track 15 on there. Was that a bonus track?
No, it's the flat out ending.
Okay. Yeah, that I mean that's a pretty solid one. But
Anything else for a 2006's Black Parade, Josh?
I don't think so. This was uh, uh,
I always felt like this was their most popular album. It felt like the fans really connected with it the most.
I
I mean, here's the thing about it. They're playing at, and I'll say it again at the very end of this episode, but they're playing at When We Were Young festival this year in 2024 at Las Vegas, and they're playing Black Parade in its entirety. They did, and we'll talk about it here in just a second too. I mean, they did the 138 performances for Black Parade tour. You film a DVD off of it. You put out a 10th anniversary of Black Parade. No anniversary CDs for any of the other albums. I just kind of always felt like this. I'm not saying that it was my favorite as a fan. My favorite. My favorite is Three Cheers, and I like all four. In the end, I don't. There's not a bad album that they've put out, but I've always kind of felt like their fans were drawn more to Black Parade.
I guess Black Parade would be more universal. Like
Yeah,
you've kind of got it converging on both sides there, like of people who were already into them when Three Cheers came out, that age, and then people who were hearing them for the first time on Black Parade. I think that's
right.
probably like your overlap there.
Yeah,
So yeah, I could see, maybe that being why this is their most popular album. It just feels like, if you told me, If Only You Were Lonely was Hawthorne Heights' most popular album, I would probably say it was Silence in Black and White. Like I would think that that was probably their most popular album, but I think it's just, yeah, you have to look at it like that. Which album
yeah.
has the biggest cross section between old and new fans, and then that's going to be your most popular album.
It's very true. Very true. Just 4 months after release of their new hit album, the band would embark on a supporting tour, donning the name The Black Parade. Them doing that actually confused some people because they were billed as The Black Parade on like the line. Yeah, it was just like, what? Who?
That's weird.
Like as I just mentioned just a bit ago, this tour included 138 performances worldwide, along with several festival stops and condensed shows. There were actually 3 legs of this tour in North America, 2 in Europe, and 1 in Asia, Australia, and Latin America. I mean, that's a pretty brutal touring schedule right there, in a short amount of time, basically. Because I think they did on like about a year's worth of time, maybe year and a half, maybe. Yeah, the group would be joined by Rise Against, Thursday, and Muse as supporting acts. Now, this is where it gets kind of crazy. During the tour, several members left for various reasons. Mikey Way on bass left for a brief stint to spend time with his new wife, while friend of the band Matt Cortez filled in for him on bass. Frank Iero on guitar would leave the tour twice, once for a personal medical reason and the other for a family member's illness, being replaced by drive-by guitarist Todd Price and Matt Cortez. Bob Breyer on drums would leave tour due to a wrist injury, and several shows would be canceled due to the bands on tour suffering from food poisoning. And in the end, Muse had to drop off that tour, and Circus Survive would replace them. And then I put, yikes, what a train wreck. I mean, but I mean, it's kind of like I said, it's like when you're doing that much touring in a short amount of time, man, I mean, you're gonna have injuries. I mean, some of this stuff, yeah, was just like Frank. He had his own medical reason, and then he had family members' illness. Of course, Mikey was doing the new wife thing, but I mean, like Bob, with the wrist injury and the food poisoning. I mean, things are bound to go wrong, right? And derail you on an extensive tour like that in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So no, it's not going to be perfect for sure.
No.
In 2007, the band was invited to play on the Project Revolution tour, which was hosted by Linkin Park. Bands on that tour were featuring Placebo, Mindless Self-Indulgence, Seosin, Taking Back Sunday, and Josh's personal favorite, Him. Kerrang would rate the Black
Wings
Parade.
of a butterfly.
There you go. I was waiting for it. Kerrang would rate the Black Parade as the 4th greatest album of 2006, while Rolling Stone voted it 20th best in their top 50 albums of 2006 poll. The band would win Best International Band Award at the NME Awards in 2007, while frontman Gerard Wade won Hero of the Award at the same award ceremony. On their extensive tour supporting the Black Parade, the band would record 2 shows, one in the Maxwell in Hoboken, New Jersey, and the Palacio de los Deportes in Mexico City, Mexico, which would be released in 2008 as the Black Parade is Dead live album. A year after that release, the band would bring some demo tracks to light, releasing The Black Parade, the B-sides, while also announcing a collection of 9 never-before-seen live videos straight from the encore set of the Mexico City show from October 2007 during their Black Parade World Tour titled Venganza. The release came on a bullet-shaped flash drive containing exclusive photos of the band from the show. February 1st, 2009 saw the band drop a brand new song, a cover of Bob Dylan's Desolation Row, which was to be featured in the end credits of the movie Watchmen. Josh, what does it for you in that music video? Because I've heard nothing but you talk about that music video.
It's everything. You know my requirements for a music video. It's got to be crazy, and I got to be able to see the band like 90% of the time. And I want to see them playing. And so this is them playing a show, but you don't typically see them like they really turned this Bob Dylan song into
A rager. A
Yeah, kind of
rager,
a-
I say, man.
like almost like a punk cover.
Mhm.
Almost. But yeah, and you never really see them do anything like that. So it's just a really interesting video. They just really had fun with it, I think. So
We talked about in the last episode a little bit about this. I mean, we at least mentioned this music video, and we talked about songs like this, like Decode from Paramore on the Twilight soundtrack. What was it? Was it Atreyu had the Underworld song?
Yeah.
And we both agreed we did not like the music videos for songs like that have just like a bunch of like scenes from those movies that they're being featured in. Um, this one did not, but I found it interesting that in like some of those fight scenes, like outside the theater and such, the way the camera work was done was like almost the exact same for like the camera work and like fight scenes on Watchmen. So I
Okay.
thought that was kind of interesting. There was at least a little bit of a nod to, what they were representing at that time for that. And then now that I notice, isn't that the screen behind them? Isn't that Rorschach's, like what his mask looks like too?
Yes.
Yeah, I just now noticed that. Huh, that's funny. So at least they have like little hints, but they're
Yeah,
meeting the
the
criteria that we're
drums.
talking about. It's like you're not showing clips from the movies. Like, thank you for not doing that.
Yeah, the bass drum has like a smiley face on it.
Yep, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So they've got some like nods to it. So that's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It's good. It was a really good cover. I'm with you, Josh. It's a really good cover.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
nice I don't know, it's a nice little break, like they didn't throw this on one of their albums or something. But I feel like it would kind of be at home on Danger Days. Like I could see
mhm.
it there.
Okay. Yeah.
I could also see if they had added it to their that weird little collection of like 1 through 6 or 7 or whatever. They're
Oh,
like just those the little 2 tracks each.
where's it at here? Where'd it go? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Was it May Death Never Stop You? Is that what it is? I think no. I think it's before that. Yeah, conventional weapons. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, I can see that too. It'd be interesting.
I don't know what
All
it
right,
is
let's see. Go back
about
now.
Bob Dylan songs that when people cover them, they just go so hard.
He knew what he was doing.
What's the next one I'm gonna say? The next great Bob
Watchtower.
Dylan cover.
Watchtower?
Watchtower by Abigail Williams. Watchtower.
No, the Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, okay.
Which I'll be honest with you. I mean, I like the Jimi Hendrix version, but I do like the original version too of Along the Watchtower.
Was that Bob Dylan?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he originally wrote it. It was
Okay.
like all like kind of acoustic, but it had a cool sound to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know what.
Maggie's Farm.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Rage.
No, Rage Against the Machine wrote that.
No, no, no.
I ain't gonna work on Maggie's Farm no more.
Yeah, no,
Alrighty.
they cranked it up and ripped the knob off on that one.
Yeah, they definitely did.
Have you watched anything from the Black Parade is Dead? Like either of those live performances?
No, have you?
Yeah, I was looking at one of them here, and the way it started was really cool. Like they have, people who like come out and are wearing like scrubs, and there's like
He's
a
like, yeah,
doctor, and
he's supposed to be like the patient at the very beginning, isn't he?
yeah, they like wheel him
Yeah,
out in the
I'd heard that.
gurney.
Nice.
Yeah, that he's like
Uh,
singing the beginning of the end because they just play it in its entirety,
right. That's
which I
pretty cool. I'll have
love
to,
shows like that. Like those are so great.
yeah, I need to go watch it, but yeah. A few months later, it was reported that the band was ready to enter the studio for their fourth album. In an interview with NME, Gerard Waits in the band's next record would be a rock album, saying, quote, I think the next album will definitely be stripped down. I think the band misses being a rock band. In an interview with Pop Eater, Way also stated the next album will be, quote, full of hate. Also saying, quote, over the years that we've been hearing ourselves live and hearing us on records, we kind of prefer the live. There's more of a garage feel and more energy. I'd like to capture some of that finally. That's the goal for the next one. After a period of recording was complete, Gerard Way on vocals told Rock Sound that their fourth album would be their defining work, stating, quote, a friend who heard the record recently said he now had no interest in listening to our older work anymore, that we had made all our old material redundant. I took it as a compliment. The next thing you should always make, the next thing you should always make should make the last thing. Wow, they messed that up. Should make the last thing unimportant. And I think that will happen.
Next thing you
when we
make should make
finally-
the last thing you made
Yeah,
unimportant.
Yeah, unimportant, yeah. When we finally release this album. Okay. What do you think about that?
Was that about Danger Days or about Black Parade?
Yes, Danger Days.
That was about Danger Days. There's always somebody who listens.
There's
to,
always
like,
somebody who ruins it for everybody
your
else.
later, like a later album that you do, and they're like, "Oh my god, guys!" It's really like the producer just jerking you off, you know, like, "Oh my god, amazing guys, you're still killing it out there." Like, I love this album, but
A little
I don't know
faster,
why-
a little slower.
I don't know. That's just a weird comment to make to me. Like, I'm glad that they thought that it wasn't offensive or whatever, but like,
I mean, I
how
guess.
I don't think that Danger Days just erases three amazing albums like Bullets, Revenge, and Parade. Like,
Right. That's what I was thinking. It's like, okay.
it's just a weird take. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Why can't you?
Have you
just
heard
say,
any of
like,
those
"Yeah,
older
guys,
albums?"
next level, you know? You don't have to say, "Man, this makes all your other stuff look like dog shit."
Oh boy. Yeah, that's 2010's Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys from Ray Prize Records.
Would you
Produced
what'd you think about the music videos from this album?
Produced by Rob Cavallo. My mistake from earlier. This actually is the last album for Bob Brenner on drums. We'll get to it. We'll get to
Happy
it.
birthday, you son of a bitch.
Thank you. This album sold 112,000 copies in its first week of sales, debuting at #1 on both the Billboard Rock Albums and Alternative Albums chart, while hitting #8 on the Billboard 200. Much like their previous album, Danger Days is considered a rock opera following the story of a post-apocalyptic California in 2019, where a group of rebellious outsiders known as the Killjoys battle against an evil corporation. Gerard Way announced his intent to create a companion comic series titled The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, announcing later at the 2012 New York Comic-Con that he would co-write the series with Sean Simon, and the artwork would be done by Becky Cloonan, and that the first issue of the series would be released on June 6, 2013. Way also commented that the series would serve as the, quote, last part of the story, and as a, quote, coming to age story about a young girl. Fun fact for you, Josh. Guitarist of Mindless Self-Indulgence, Steve Montano, plays Dr. Death in the monologue scenes. Look alive, sunshine.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so before I read the review here, your question was the music videos. Okay, so is there only two, or is there more than two?
There's just two.
Okay.
Oh
I
no,
was gonna
there's
say,
more. There's another one. There's one for is it Planetary Go? It's like the live video kind of.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Because I only watched Sing and no. Yeah, I enjoyed both of them. Na is like, it's like a trailer for what you're about to get into. And I think this was the first single, I'm pretty sure, that they released. So, I mean, it helps with that, obviously when you first see it, you're like, okay, what am I getting into? And I like the way that was cut, to make it look like a big kind of like almost kind of Mad Max like trailer, kind of like chaotic and almost unnerving at times. Make it kind of car sick just watching it, as there's so many like cutscenes and such, and randomness. And then yeah, seeing you mentioned it before about. I mean, it took it a while, took it towards the end of the song, but Gerard Wade is the first one to get killed. Um, there's three of them get killed, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
everybody except for Ray and the kid.
I'll say Ray and the kid are the only two that make it out.
Yeah, because
'Cause
Frank like locks the door
bars the
behind
door.
him.
Yeah. Which I guess is that kind of a call onto the song Save Yourself or Hold Them Back, you think?
I thought so.
That's immediately what I think of. So but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed both of them. I thought they were well done. The songs are both great too. Um, like I said, I enjoy the first part of this album really does it for me. You start to kind of lose me on some of the backside of it. There's still some good ones though. Like you said, like Destroya and Vampire Money's good, but it doesn't hit as hard as like the beginning of the album. And the opening monologue, I mean, it gets you hyped. Get you
Oh,
hype,
yeah.
hype.
Yeah, all the little radio breaks are really good. Okay, so before I talk about a little bit of the concept, you know why there's like so much connection with mindless self-indulgence, right?
No.
Well, his wife has been in the band forever.
Oh, okay. Okay. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
she's
then.
Lindsay.
Okay. Okay.
So
I was looking at them the other day and I was, yeah, they've got all like stage names. And so, yeah, cool. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
So I listened to a lot of interviews that they did around the time that they put out Danger Days,
Yeah.
just talking concepts and stuff like that. We touched on a little bit in the last episode, how all of them, but they wrote this one really with like, this is a little thing that we have here, There's this little world where inside the city, like the corporations run everything. And they have, I can't remember what they called the bad guys, if they're hunters or something like that. I can't remember what they were called. But those are essentially like the bad guys, and they're sent out into the desert where just normal people still live, and they're exterminators, and they're sent out there to exterminate like, yeah, the people who are out there like living away from the corporation.
Right.
And how the Killjoys aren't really good guys. They're like kind of that gray line. Like they're essentially a gang and they're out there doing their own thing. They're killing exterminators. They're probably killing other people out there also. And the fact that the whole story like around the kid was really interesting. How, it wouldn't necessarily be in their nature to even care about that kid or save that kid at all. But for some reason, they decide that this is like personal and they don't want them to take the kid. And then when they do, they go in there just fucking guns blazing. 3 of them die just to
Right.
save him,
Right.
So, but yeah, that was one of the things they kind of touched on, how just like that there's not good guys and bad guys essentially here. It's all very gray.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Chris Mandel of NME.com wrote in his review, when NME first met My Chemical Romance, they were a fresh-faced bunch of punk rock tykes playing a truly incredible incendiary, good night nurse, I'm going to have a hard time here, incendiary gig at Manchester's Cupboard Like Hop and Grape. After frontman Gerard Way dived into the crowd and got a female fan's thumb stuck behind his eyeball, we thought we'd
Oh
take them
my
out.
God.
We thought we'd take them out on the town for a drink. Racing upstairs on the bus to whisk everyone off to an all-nighter at Jilly's Rock World, we were met by the strange sight of the band in pajamas watching Dungeons and Dragons DVD. We went out with the support band instead, and when we dragged our sorry horses home at 8:30 a.m. the next day, we bumped into the band again, who were just on their way to see an early screening of the new Harry Potter film. While this behavior was hardly tour diary matter, it spoke volumes about their ambition and their will to mold their own destiny. I kind of put that in there because I thought that was interesting, the way that like they're different than most bands that are out there, where again, it's like instead of just like hanging out and going to get drinks with like this guy, they're all chilling together in the PJs watching Dungeons and Dragons. They're up early in the morning the next day to go see the early screening of a Harry Potter film. They're different. They're their own little breed, man.
Yeah, they're nerds. They're not
Right.
they're not into
Yeah.
the whole like club and party life. They literally were just some guys that were super into comic books, and yeah, they also like, played music. They
Right.
dabbled in music, and then they just decided to combine the two.
Right. So anyway, moving on to his review of the album, Chris Mandel says, quote, their fourth album, Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, is the third and final stage of reinventing themselves as a world-dominating pop rock group, and it is utterly fantastic. This is the album they were born to make. It gives us all the things that punk has never been able to provide: romance, sex, the adventure of the open road, and sheer nihilism banishing energy. The usual ill-defined concept here, and yet again, at its heart, is illicit love across the barricades, with the band playing a bunch of outlaws. This time, the star-crossed lovers/gang seem to be racing against some ecological disaster America. A fact that is reinforced by radio DJ interludes in the style of Queens of the Stone Age's Songs for the Deaf. If the unexpected influence on the Black Parade was British rock, then here it is US radio of the 70s and 80s. It's as if MCR have become characters in a Grand Theft Auto style game, creating a feedback loop between a bleak fantasy future and a mainstream golden rock and pop past. So the disco synth arpeggios of Giorgio Moroder inform Planetary Go, while next single Sing, an authentic Scarecrow, even take on the leather and lace of Whitesnake and the chromium gleam of We Built the City Loon's Starship. Save Yourself, I'll Hold Them Back pours yet more scorn on the tabloid idea of MCR as a suicide cult to some satisfying classic rock maneuvers. More than any other band, MCR are coming to resemble Muse in their size and ambition, at least. Perhaps it's not too fanciful to think that sooner rather than later we may see them at Wembley, given their ambition has brought them this far and to this glittering achievement already. Never mind that punk bollocks. Here are MCR, the pop group, and they're amazing. Songs on this album include Look Alive, Sunshine, Na Na Na, Na Na Na, Na 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 Na, Bulletproof Heart, Sing, Planetary Go, The Only Hope for Me Is You, Jetstar and the Cobra Kid / Traffic Report, Party Poison, Save Yourself, I'll Hold Them Back, Scarecrow, Summertime, Destroya, The Kids from Yesterday, Good Night, Dr. Death, and the finale, Vampire Money, along with 2 bonus tracks, We Don't Need Another Song About California, and 0%. Josh, we've heard a lot of your opinion on the album. You enjoy it. Correct.
Yep.
How about another person's opinion, Josh? Would you like another person's opinion that isn't mine?
Yeah, all right.
You're like, why not? Your little friend over there, Liz, sent me a little a little review of this album because I know she really enjoys this album. So I'd like to
My
read it
little
to you.
friend.
Your little friend over there, your little buddy. Yeah. No, your girl, Liz, sent me her little short review on this album. She says, I like the dystopian adventure feel of the storytelling and the anti-corporate themes to the album and can appreciate the range between slower and more upbeat songs. I love the entire album front to back, so it's hard to pick favorite songs. Even from the beginning, Look Alive, Sunshine gets me hyped up for Nah Nah Nah. Some of my favorite hype songs that just get me going are Planetary Go, Party Poison, and Vampire Money. Lyrically and also musically, I love Bulletproof Heart, Sing, Scarecrow, and the Kids from Yesterday. Thank you so much for not putting crazy 10-cent words in that review, Liz. Thank you so much, because I have a hard enough time with these people from these bigger magazines and Rolling Stone and bull crap, and I miss the days of Jesus Freak Hideout. Simple
What's
words.
What's so frustrating about it is it's some dumb ass
Pretentious.
moron. Just you can see him pouring over the thesaurus like right there.
Right.
Like it's never anybody who truly knows, you know?
Right.
Like they're just looking for ways to zhuzh it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, all right, who are you fooling, man? You write for Rolling Stone. Like you're not writing for the Times.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That was great.
Ah,
That sounded just as good as any review we would read off of anybody's magazine.
I would
Like,
think it would probably be even better than most reviews, man.
yeah,
Because it's an actual fan and not somebody getting paid for the review.
solid.
Yeah, solid. Anything else, Josh, for
We should do
2010's?
we should do random reviews more often.
Okay. 2010's Danger Days, Josh. Anything else?
Just that I think, so they set out to kind of make an 80s themed album here in a lot of ways, and they never sacrificed their original sound for that, I feel like.
Right.
Like they did it their own way, and I think that's why it works. Like why, a lot of people don't look at Danger Days as like, oh, like that the last MCR album,
Right.
It's no Colors, I'll tell you that.
From Between the Buried and Me?
No, wasn't Colors the name of the last Devil Wears Prada album?
Oh, Color Decay.
Color
Colors
Decay,
is yeah,
okay.
Colors is Between the Buried and Me. I was like, what?
And then what was the last Alexis on Fire?
Crisis? No, not Crisis. Otherness.
How dare you?
Ugh. I know. Ugh, Otherness.
Otherness in parentheses. Yeah, you the fans, go fuck yourself.
Nice. We can't believe you actually bought this crap.
Yeah, we're laughing all the way to the bank.
Exactly. Just 3 months after the release of Danger Days, the album sold over 1 million copies worldwide.
1 million
1
copies.
million. In March of 2010, during recording of Danger Days, the band announced that Bob Breyer on drums was no longer with the band, although he did contribute to some songs on the album, with Dorian Crozier and John Maselli contributing drums as well. Much like they did for their previous album, the band would embark on a 2-year-long tour in support of Danger Days called the World Contamination Tour, which spanned such regions as North America, Europe, Asia, and Oceania. The band would add Michael Petticone on drums for touring at the end of 2010, but not even a year later, Josh, the band would release a statement saying, quote, "The relationship between My Chemical Romance and Michael Petticone is over."
Yeah,
Explaining.
I mean that's tough to come in, Like these 4 guys are crazy tight.
Yeah, but here's some more reasoning for you, Josh. They explained that Petticone was sacked because, quote, "He was caught red-handed stealing from the band and confessed to the police after our show last night in Auburn, Washington."
Awesome.
Forget about chemistry. You steal from us, you're done.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh boy. So anyway, the band would recruit Jared Alexander on drums to continue touring in his stead. The band would also bring friend James DeWeese on keys of Reggie and the Full Effect out on tour as well. Now, I'm wondering, Josh, because you've never made any mention to this. Did you know that they released an EP at the same time that they released Danger Days?
No.
Okay, it's called the Mad Gear and Missile Kid EP from Reprise Records.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was because I remember them talking about this in some of the interviews that it was songs that were like along the lines of Danger Days, but like the story within them didn't really fit the mold, and they didn't want to try to make it fit. So
Right.
and they really liked them. So they were like, well, what are we gonna do with this? Like, well, he was like, I'm gonna, they came up with those two characters. And yeah, then that was going to be, they're going to throw that on its own little thing.
So guitarist Frank Iero actually told MTV, quote, it's basically what the Killjoys are listening to in the car as they're having those gun battles. But I go along with what you're saying too, of like, hey, these are songs that almost kind of like B-sides that like just didn't really fit the mold.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And he said that's always been their bit. Like, I respect that. That's always been their biggest thing is that they don't want to jam songs in for the sake of just jamming them in.
Right.
Like,
Respect, man. Respect. Yeah, Gerard Wade actually expressed interest to create a Mad Gear and Missile Kid full-length album to alternative press. Where's it at? Where's it at, man? We're still waiting for it. Where's it at?
Where is it?
Where is it? Songs on this EP include FTWWW Masters of Ravencroft and Black Dragon Fighting Society. In 2011, the band would appear on the Nick Jr. show Yo Gabba Gabba, performing a song entitled Every Snowflake is Different, Just Like You. Yeah. In February of 2012, members of My Chemical Romance revealed that they had been building a studio in LA to record music for the band's fifth album under the working title MCR 5. How original. Now we're touring keyboardist James DeWeese and Jared Alexander on drums as official members. But in late 2012, the band's official website announced a new project titled Conventional Weapons. The project, released through Reprise Records, revolved around 10 unreleased songs that were recorded in 2009 prior to the making of Danger Days. The band would release 2 songs each month for 5 months from starting in October 2012 and finishing in February of 2013. Now, all the while, the band would continue to work on new music during this time, but in March of 2013, the band would release a statement on their website stating, quote, being in this band for the past 12 years has been a true blessing. We've gotten to go places we never knew we would. We've been able to see and experience things we never imagined possible. We've shared the stage with people we admire, people we look up to, and best of all, our friends. And now, like all great things, it has come time for its end. Thanks for all of your support and for being part of the adventure. Bye-bye, My Chemical Romance. A year later, the band would release a greatest hits album entitled May Death Never Stop You from Reprise Records, showcasing songs throughout their discography, along with a new single, which featured both James DeWeese on keys and Jared Alexander on drums, entitled Fake It Death. Gerard Wade would respond to a fan's inquiry about the album's cover depiction and mentioned that the statue depicted on the album cover is a composite of all the faces of My Chemical Romance band members. In addition, the statue features many references to the band's history, including bullet holes reminiscing I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, and the uniform jacket referring to the Black Parade. During the breakup, Gerard Wade would release his debut solo album entitled Hesitant Alien, which received mostly positive reviews, reaching number 16 on the US Billboard 200 and number 1 on the 10 Essential Albums of 2014 from Alternative Press. Frank Iero would join James DeWeese and form the band Death Spells while also recording and releasing a new Reggie and the Full Effect album with Ray Toro playing bass in that band. Frank Iero would also release his debut album entitled Stomach Aches under the moniker Frank Iero and the Celebration. Ray Toro would also release a few singles here and there, while Mikey Way would team up with Sleep Station vocalist David Dubiak to start the band Electric Century, releasing a self-titled EP in April 2015 on Record Store Day. Now, in 2016, a cryptic video was released on the band's YouTube page, which featured the piano intro from the Welcome to the Black Parade song and a date 9/23/16. Now, hopes of a reunion from this cryptic video would be crushed when it turned out that the video was a teaser for an upcoming issue of the Black Parade for its 10th anniversary, which is 2016's The Black Parade / Living with Ghost from Reprise Records. So it's a 2-disc album. First disc, obviously, is The Black Parade. The second disc is full of demos and unreleased songs. Those songs include an early version of Welcome to the Black Parade, which was entitled The Five of Us Are Dying, Kill All Your Friends, a live demo, Party at the End of the World live demo, Mama live demo, My Way Home is Through You live demo, Not That Kind of Girl live demo, House of Wolves version 1 and version 2 demo, Emily demo, Disenchanted demo, and All the Angels demo. Have you listened to any of these songs on here, Josh?
Not on that one, I don't think.
I listened to The Five of Us Are Dying because I heard, I'd read that it was an early version of Welcome to the Black Parade.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sound anything like the Black Parade.
Ha.
So I was a little confused. But anyway, yeah. That is Black Parade 10th anniversary with Living with Ghost. Gerard Wade told Billboard, quotes, "I wouldn't count a reunion out, but at the same time, everybody's doing stuff in their lives now that they're really enjoying. Boo, we don't like you enjoying your life outside of this.
Get back in there and make
Get back
music."
to work. Make me happy. But behind the scenes, the band would quietly get back together in 2017 without the fans' knowledge. Shh, don't tell anybody, Josh. 3 years later, in 2019, the band would announce a reunion show in LA, with the announcement being accompanied by the captions "Return" and "Like Phantoms Forever" on their social media accounts. This one-off show would be followed by an announcement of more dates in Australia and New Zealand and Japan for 2020. More dates would be announced for the UK and the North America tour in January of 2020, but I can't hear you.
Wah, 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 wah.
Like we always talk about many a times, due to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, all tour dates would be pushed back, eventually being rescheduled for 2022. Now, during the waiting period, the band would release a brand new song, their first since 2014, entitled "The Foundations of Decay," giving fans the hope that a new album would be on the horizon. And I mentioned this earlier, but recently the band was announced to play the When We Were Young Festival 2024 in Las Vegas, Nevada, performing their 2006 hit album, The Black Parade, in its entirety. Now, go back real quick. What is your thoughts on The Foundation of Decay, Josh?
Like, it's okay.
Yeah, I liked it. the thing though is like, and obviously, I mean, we haven't gotten a full album since 2010. And I know obviously they're all older. He's like in his 40s, almost 50.
Yeah.
Um, but man, his voice changed, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously, we're in 2024, but production's, better than what it was back when they last released an album. But yeah, it's interesting to hear it now. And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting. It makes me wonder what the future would look like, which leads me to my final question for you, Josh. The future. Mhm. Is this a cash grab or no cash grab, Josh?
I don't know if it's necessarily a cash grab, but I was gonna say like about his vocals. I mean, it still sounds like him. I just think he's kind of doing a different style
Okay.
for
Okay.
this, like for the mood of this track.
Okay.
Like I think on a full length, you would hear a lot more of that original sound. He's also using like kind of a hollow sounding mic there, which is giving it that kind of
Interesting.
weird ambient feel too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're just trying to do kind of a style thing here. Um, yeah, kind of the style of this track makes me think of Bullets a little bit.
Okay.
Just that kind of
Okay.
gloomy,
Yeah.
low budget kind of feel.
Yeah. It'd be cool if they kind of went back to that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, that
You
was all.
think
Yeah, no.
oh, okay. You think they're actually in the works for an album though, or are we just like
I don't know, man. It's been so long.
that's what I'm saying with the cash grab or no cash grab. Is this just a hey, we're just doing some touring here and there?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're
Maybe
doing
a
what a lot of
song here and
people are
there,
doing right
but
now, and just, you take your most popular album, you tour it. It's good for you. It's good for the fans. Like, there's not really no harm, no foul. The only time that you burn me is when you're gonna be like a Maylene and say, "Oh, there's an album coming, guys. Just wait. The dragons are coming. Just wait. Just wait." Like, like,
wait for it, wait for it.
yeah, if you keep teasing me saying that there's an album coming when there's really not any plans to get one down, then
There's no
that's
payoff, man.
aggravating. That's the cash
Yeah.
grab. But as far as I know, like they said they were working on one, but that was a ways back, right?
Yeah.
Like that before the hiatus?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so you can basically scrap that, and if they come around again, they put out this single, um I guess that would have been like close to the end of 2022.
Yeah.
So it's been a little over a year on that. Um there's time, I feel like, but we go another year or two without anything. I think you can pretty much just close the book on it. But, you still win because if you want to, you can go see them running the Black Parade,
Right. Are they gonna wear the outfits?
maybe. Just pull
They
an
have to be.
Angus
Hey,
Young. They have to wear
hey.
those like forever.
Oh God, they have to fit into the originals though,
Oh man, that'd be
which
rough.
I can tell you right now, Gerard's not gonna be able to fit into his original.
That just makes me think of that Metalocalypse where they were working with that fashion designer and he gives them the clothes and they all like their stomachs are hanging out and stuff. He was like, "You're a bunch of liars. You're a bunch of fat liars."
Oh man. All right,
Um,
oh go ahead.
are we doing an honorable mention to um conventional weapons?
What do you mean? I mentioned it.
Oh, well, I mean, we didn't really talk about any of the tracks on there.
Oh, well, talk to me about the tracks.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if you had one that was like kind of your favorite about these. I feel like Gun is like the
I
big
didn't listen to
standout
him.
track to me. You didn't listen to any of them. dude, those are some pretty good ones.
Yeah, I never got around to listening to it.
Like I
I
think
gotta
the
go back and
only
listen to it.
one that I'm kind of like meh about is number 3, and it's The World is Ugly and the Light Behind Your Eyes. They're kind of meh, but the other 6 or whatever are all really good. Or 6, 8, the other 8 are all really good.
Oh, they
So
list them as singles. I was like, why are they?
yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but I would say
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
listen to Gun.
Do what?
I said I would say definitely listen to Gun.
Like that's the name of the song?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there it is. Okay, sorry. Oh, I feel like I've heard this one before, maybe.
It just rolled over to the Welcome to the Black Parade Steve Aoki 10th anniversary remix.
Oh, what?
This is crazy.
Oh, here it is. I see it. Yeah, I see
Do you
it
see
too.
it?
Yeah, I see it. I'm gonna have to listen to that too. Whoa.
There's just like dance like behind it. That's like so funny. It makes you want to dance. Oh my God.
Oh.
Yep, there it is.
Jeez Louise.
Oh my God, dude, what was that? That's the dubstep. Have you seen that Key and Peele bit where he's helping him move?
Yeah.
And okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like it like
Like every time
Yeah.
it comes on, he's like, "Whoa."
Oh yeah, classic.
Okay.
Did you have anything else for conventional weapons?
No, that's it. I feel like they're pretty solid. That one little block was the only down point for me, but if you get to the end of Danger Days and you're craving more MCR, definitely listen to those.
Gotcha. Our current lineup is Gerard Wade on vocals, Frank Era on guitar, Ray Tor on guitar, and Mikey Way on bass. When I was
She's still going.
but anyway, final thoughts on the band Mike and Chemical Romance, Josh.
Success. I mean,
No
I think
failure.
yeah,
All gas, no brakes.
I think obviously any band's going to have some things that they wish they had done differently. But as far as these 4 albums go, I think they succeeded, and like what they set out to do with each one.
Right.
They never really sacrificed their artistic integrity, I feel like, and were still financially successful. So win, like like this is a success story.
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't work out like this for so many bands.
Almost makes you like nervous though that the time bomb is about to explode. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
All good things can't last forever.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
they're gonna drop
My
a
Chemical
dud.
Romance was the good thing. Like it's over now.
Unless they
Like now
release a
it's
new
time
album.
to just like do their own thing, and they've got solo projects. Which, by the way, have you listened to Gerard's solo album?
No, I mean from all the stats and everything, it sounded like it was really highly positive reviews, or whatever. But
I would say listen to it. I know that
Okay.
Ray does a lot of the guitars on there, if not all of them.
okay,
But he contributes quite a bit too. But yeah, I've listened to that one several times. It's really good.
Okay.
So
yeah,
if
I'll
you get to
listen
the end
it.
of this and you're craving more, you can go check out Gerard's side project, Ray's side project, the multiple bands that Frank has been in before, during, and after MCR.
Right. Yep.
Even that thing that Mikey did. I imagine that's not up my alley, but it might be up somebody's.
Probably up your alley. Cool. Alrighty. Let's bail. You got your parachute? Let's bail out of this helicopter. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. Not just on this show, but our other shows as well. We have the History of the Cores After Hours podcast, where I sit down with my good friend and avid listener of this very podcast, Eric. We discuss, oh, beautiful. We discuss some of the bands that me and Josh have already talked about. We've got 2 brand new episodes coming in the next 2 weeks
Ooh.
about AFI and To Speak of Wolves. Yeah. So be on the lookout for those. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons of the Peaky Blinders.
And one day the movie.
And one day the movie, God willing. And we also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which so far has covered season 1, soon to be season 2 of HBO's House of the Dragon. Currently, we are in our Fire and Blood book series. Oh, we got
much
a brand
fire,
new,
so much blood.
too much fire. Oh, not enough blood. Yeah. We've got a brand new episode of that coming out this next week also. So be on the lookout for that one. A Servant of Rulers. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And if you want to listen to us, see our smiling faces, head on over to our, you look like disappointed, like I have to smile. Just head on over to our YouTube page. It looks like that clown, that sad clown painted. Yeah, just head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions, and that'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up the video. All right, we will see you in the next episode where we're going to talk about the band known as Brand New. We'll see you.